Okay everyone, welcome back to another edition of Middle Game Training. This is the fourth episode. We're going to be looking at now game number 7. Unfortunately, game number 5 probably wasn't that interesting, to be honest with you. The plan there was relatively simple. Number 6 was just a simple recapture, so we now move to game number 7. Game number 7 actually is, I would say, quite a nice one actually, and we have here in fact playing as black one of the favourites, if I say so myself, in the tournament. That is of course Louis Poulsen, who you may have heard of. Poulsen actually has a few variations named after him. One notable one is in the French defence, the mainline knight C3 is called the Poulsen variation. I believe he also has a few variations named after him in the Sicilian as well. So certainly, this guy playing as black, he is a force to be reckoned with. No, he was probably maybe in the top 20 best players certainly in the world at that time, and did have some very good tournament successes. In sort of mid to late 19th century. So yeah, very, very interesting. His opponent, again, I haven't heard of him. He probably, just like the last video where I said that I'd never heard of anyone, and I found out actually they're two very important people in the chess world. But I've never heard of his opponents. So any case, here is the position. Just to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, click the notification bell. This will remind you of any time that I release any more of these middle game videos if you do like them. Make sure to also leave a like and comment to tell me if you managed to get the solution correct, but even if you didn't, let me know if you got it wrong, and hopefully you can get the same solution that I did. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer now. It's black to play in this position, so let us begin. So I'm just going to flip the board. So white's last move here was just this capture here. Okay, so I actually really like black's position here. The kind of, I guess, the key things in this position. So firstly, king safety wise, black king's very safe. White's king a little bit exposed. Probably not so much as there's less pieces on the board, but certainly that is a little factor to take in mind. Material wise, we have got 7 white pawns, and I believe it's actually 8 pawns for black. So he's up a pawn in this position. Also, he's got a bishop versus a knight. Just something to consider as well. In terms of activity, I think this is where black really, really shines. His bishop is really nicely placed. It's got these lovely outpost pawns that he can just move between, but certainly this is an absolute monster bishop, controlling a lot of key squares for white here. And it's an absolute pain to budge it. There's not really any good way to try and remove it. This knight here is horribly passive. It's going to be very difficult for it to get back into the game. If it came over here, it's got basically not really many squares to go to. So it's kind of forced to start going over here. Pawn structure, again, I think is another big factor of this position. We've got this big backwards pawn here on b2, and well, this is a clear target for us. So in my sort of initial analysis, both in my 30 seconds and my 3 minutes, I sort of discussed just getting my rook straight against this pawn. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's backwards, it's very weak. Up a pawn. And as I say, this bishop on d3 is very, very nice. I like this piece a lot. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot more to this position. I'll be honest with you, I'll be very surprised if it's not rook to b8. But let's just analyze it just to make sure that is the case. One other idea I did think about is this bishop captures here. Point being, after rook captures, we go to b8. This pawn is just forever being watched over. Although rook comes back to here, because this rook does actually to protect this pawn as well. But certainly, I think my idea, I think, would be to get my rook here, maybe get it onto this b3 square, and then what would I do? Do I just double up here? Maybe. The problem is, as soon as I move this rook, it relinquishes the defense of this pawn, which is annoying. But in actual fact, even if I did that, okay, what would white play? I honestly haven't really got a good move for white in this position. How does he get out of this mess? So moving a knight to a3 doesn't really make much sense here. He's got nowhere to go after that. If he moves his knight here, of course, well, after we've done this, of course, this now blocks the defense of this. So this knight is totally trapped. It's totally trapped. He would love to move this other rook, but of course it is bound to the defense of this knight. So I guess my idea would be go here. Then what does white do? I guess you'd probably have to make a waiting move, I suppose. You could maybe try and do h4 and try and expand down here, maybe. I think white can comfortably close this down here. Let's just say he just makes a waiting move. What is my threat? So we're already here. We go here. And let's just say it keeps going back and forth. I guess I go here. At some point I'm going to capture here, rook captures, then I push this pawn. If the rook comes back, I push again. Or do I capture? No, I capture. Yeah, capture's way better. If rook takes, I promote. So that's really my threat, is just doing this. I say it's a slow plan, but white's not doing anything here. He's bound to total passivity, which is what I really like. I really like this position as black, and I think it really shows Paulsen's dominance in this tournament. Although, as I say, when he finally meets up with Morphy in the final, let's just say it didn't go quite to plan, as he does get crushed by Paul Morphy. Even though he does win one game, I believe he loses 6 games against Morphy. I think there was a couple draws maybe in there somewhere, but okay, all right. There's any more things than this really. I'm just trying to make sure there's no counterplay for white whatsoever. You can just happily keep this bishop here. Do you know what? No, okay, no, never mind. I was just thinking about something. I mean, annoyingly, maybe knight here, although it doesn't do anything, it does stop this pawn from advancing any further. But it does also block this connection now here. So this knight is just an absolute problem piece. It's really bad in this position. I'm trying to think if there's anything maybe a better plan. I just can't see anything better than just going after this backwards pawn. So let's just go for the lines again. F to b8. White will have to wait around. Can't move this rook. Can't move this knight really particularly. I mean, okay, you could go here and then knight comes here. Jump into that square. Let's just say, I don't know, a waiting move. Go here. Now this knight has to do something. If it has to come back, but of course this pawn then drops. So I think actually if I was white, I would just sit here and wait for my inevitable doom. Just go back and forth between these two squares. So come here, rook goes here. Come here, rook goes back again. I now charge this pawn forward, rook goes back again. I charge again. Oh no, actually, captures first, sorry. Rook captures. Then I push. And what can black do here? I really don't think there's anything at all that white can do. I think that looks like a really good plan. Certainly, in exploiting this weakness, we should do very, very well now. Okay, well, I'm going to kind of leave it here. There's 30 seconds left. I'm going to lock in the move then. So I'm going to go rook f to b8. I'm hoping it's the right move. I hope I'm not going totally crazy here, thinking it's not the right move. So let's have a look what was played. Oh, I'm really worried now. Okay, so what was played in this position? Oh, thank God. Okay, so Louis Paulsen does play at rook f to b8. So let's see, what did white do? So white did come to a3, which is what we discussed. a4 was played. Rook to e1. Very interesting. I guess it gets I guess white gets his rook. Ah, okay, so that's interesting because he's got this little bit of counterplay. Very sneaky. So black had to be a little bit precise coming here, which now blocks all of that counterplay. h4. Rook to... Oh, he's going to pick up this pawn now. Wow. Okay. h5 was played. Rook captured. King came to h2. Rook a5. Rook g1. Rook here. There's a couple of recaptures. h6. This closes it down. This is a very, very sophisticated play from Paulsen. I mean, he's not rushing in here at all. He closes down this side, so white's no longer got any counterplay, and now he's just going to pick up this weakness now. So knight comes to b1, rook a to b7. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. And then finally he captures this pawn. And in actual fact, Samuel Roberts Calthrop, in fact, resigned here. Wow. What a nice position from Louis Paulsen. So going back here, let's have a look as to what was the best move. So very interesting, very interesting. So rook f to b1 is b8, sorry, is the second most popular move. According to the engines, it really likes bishop takes b1 first. The point being rook here, and then rook a to b8. What is the idea of this? So if I come back here, rook to b5, of course, that defends it, doesn't it? King to g2, rook f to b8. h4, oops, h4. We pick up to our second pawn. I didn't actually consider that the c pawn here is just totally lost, so I could have easily just rerouted around and just picked it up. So that looks like a really good plan too, and actually I think a little bit more direct than what we played. But I liked our first plan though, I've got to say. So as I say, once again, the if I go back, oops, sorry, I've gone back a bit too far. So instead we played this, knight to a3, that was the move it was suggesting. Rook to b7, just very simple double here. King to g2. Was there anything wrong with just coming straight here? No, it was absolutely fine. Again, once if something like this happens, wow, okay, so in actual fact the computer just totally ignores the threat of bishop e4, although that's still fine. Very interesting. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. So I'm glad we're still 100%. I haven't actually got anything wrong here so far, which is great to see. My 30 seconds has been right. I've only got it wrong. Game number 5 I got it wrong, which obviously you guys can't see on your thing. Game number 3 I got the 30-second wrong, but I've got all the 10-minute ones right, which is really, really good to see. So I'm quite happy with that. I might pick a harder tournament. I mean, certainly this is you know, the games here aren't super duper high level. They are from middle 19th century, from a lot of sort of unknown, well, I say unknown players, but players who aren't perhaps up to the pedigree of Grandmaster, but it's still very good games nonetheless. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you got the solution, well done. Make sure you leave comments to say that you got it, but otherwise, guys, have a great day. Take care.